What's going on YouTube? My name's King Leemur, and today I kind of want to talk about something that I discussed in one of my previous videos, why casuals is better for practice than ranked. Because once you understand the difference between practice and performance, the way you train is going to start to change. The way you look at practicing is going to change. First, we want to start with ranked. The biggest problem with practicing in ranked is pressure. When your rank is on the line, your brain stops really thinking about improvement and really just start thinking about winning. You start protecting your rating, and even just those small little inconveniences, they'll start to probably even tilt you. That pressure starts to build up. You start playing safer. You just stop experimenting altogether. And you're not learning anymore. You're just trying not to lose. And that's what you want to do when you're performing. When it comes to casuals, it's a completely different environment. It's no risk. You can focus more on what you want to improve on. You don't have a rank to protect. There's no leaderboard pressure, and you're allowed to make mistakes. And you get the freedom to focus on the wave dashing, crouch canceling, floor hugging, whether that's recovering. You don't want to work on that in rank. And the reason why is because you want to improve, and you need room to improve. You need room for failure. In order to practice, you have to admit that you will fail. You have to admit that you will likely lose. And if you're focusing more on the skills that you want to work on in a match, it doesn't matter if you win or lose. What matters is how many times do you hit that wave dash? How many times do you get that perfect edge guard off? Even if you lost, you won internally because you performed what it is that you were trying to perform, even if it was just one time. If you did it one time, that means you can do it again. And the more you do that, the better. The other thing is, in casuals, you have the ability to fight players that are way better than you. And that can be scary, but it's in a lot of ways the best opportunity for you to learn. When you're fighting players at your own skill level, you're kind of capped at what your weak points are. When you play against someone who's much better than you, they're going to exploit every weakness that you have. And for a lot of people, that's frustrating. Of course, you're getting smacked up on because you're playing against someone who's multiple ranks ahead of you. But that's the best way to find out what you're actually missing. Whether that's your movement, your spacing, any of your defensive options, or just adaptation. And that brings me to my next point. Learn to survive. When you're playing against those better players, learning to survive does so much. Because if you know you're not gonna win, survive. Learn how to survive in that environment, because the longer you can survive, the more room you have to get better, the more room you have to adapt. The less you're thinking about how to survive, the more you can think about how to adapt. And that's a very, very important key factor. How often can you escape their pressure? How often can you make them whiff? What are some patterns that you keep seeing in their edge guarding routine that you can potentially punish? And the reason why I want to go over all of this and kind of put this all into a general perspective that can be more easily understood for everybody is something that we've all gone through. School. Picture you just started your new school year. One of the very first things they do is they give you that beginning of the year assessment test where they gauge how well you know the knowledge of that course. It doesn't count against you. It's not graded. It's just gauging where you are right now before you start learning. Those are your placement matches. Every season that starts up, you get placement matches to gauge where you are at the beginning of this season. That's your assessment. That's the classwork, that's the lectures, that's the homework, that's the quizzes, that's the practice tests. But if we compare that to rivals, the lectures to practicing your mechanics and learning your combos. That's you looking back over your videos, looking back over your matches, watching your matches to see what mistakes you're making. Going into those casual matches, taking what you've learned from your mistakes, what you've learned from watching those videos back, and putting it back into practice when you go back into those casual matches. That's the recycling. Labbing does your homework too. Putting in the work for those new mechanics, working on your muscle memory. All of that is practice. And guess what? You get to practice with players of various rankings. You can learn matchups even better that way. You're going in and you're constantly getting that repetition over and over and over and over again until the final exam. The final exam is ranked. That's where you say, I've done enough practice. Let me get into rank and see just how much better I've gotten. I've worked on all of these different things. I've learned all of these tough matchups. I've done the homework. I've looked at my VODs. I can now look and do a checkpoint of where I'm at. That is your practice casuals versus your performance rank. Another conversation I want to get into that stems from this is the herd mentality of the meta and being a meta slave. And honestly, that's a long conversation and topic for this video, so I'm gonna save it for another one. If you're interested in that one, please let me know in the comments. I have some very, very, very controversial thoughts regarding the meta, but it's a lot to do with the meta, art versus the science, creativity versus the logic, and why all of that matters in the grand scheme of the game. Now, there's a few other things that I want to just kind of point out into this. We should all be paying it forward. Let's look at it like this. When the new ranked season starts, we all know the best of the best players are going to flood the top of the leaderboards anyway. Most of the time, that's where they're gonna be. They want to get to their rank, get to number 1 as soon as possible, or get to as high as they can as soon as possible. But once that pro player gets to a level or a rank that they're satisfied with, they don't want to lose that rank. So they're probably going to go to casuals. And that's why you run into a lot of better players in casual. Even if you're playing against someone who's not at your level, give them a good best of 10. Let other people learn those matchups, even if you're not learning anything. Honestly, that could be one of the best ways to get rid of some of the tilt from you playing a player better than you. You're tilted, you've lost a bunch of games, and then your next queue, boom, you're playing against someone who's way different, at a whole different tier below you or below the player you just played. And you give your brain a chance to rest. Give that player a best of 10 so that you can cool down, and then that player can learn. That way we all get better. Ego isn't the best for anybody there in practice, but I think that it all goes into this community in and of itself. So pay it forward, go to casuals, practice in casuals. It's risk-free, and you have all the opportunity to fail and lose without risking anything, and all the opportunity to learn as much as you can without judgment. It's okay. That's what casuals should be for. Risk-free learning. That's done. And I'll do my final exam. But other than that, practice in casuals. Perform in rank. Think of ranked as your final exam, not your classroom. And once you start training with that mindset, improvement comes a lot faster. But that's why I'm bringing this to you. Don't practice in rank. You're not gonna get a lot out of it. You're just gonna stress yourself out. Practice in casuals. I'm King Leemur. I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace. ここより世界に痛みを